Which way do I go, Michael? Here we go. All right. UPS is really a company of transformation. We're celebrating our 100th year anniversary this year, and really it's a story of change over the years, from serving the package delivery needs of customers to enabling global commerce. UPS was started in 1907 by a gentleman by the name of Jim Casey, who borrowed $100 to start the American Messenger Service. And it really was a bicycle messenger service. And the first office were underneath the steps of a bar out in Seattle, Washington. And we're actually going back to Seattle in August to celebrate the founding of the company, and we're having a big celebration there for our centennial celebration. We didn't start using cars until about 6 years after the original company was founded. It was a messenger service. You know, there were telegraphs back then. People didn't have telephones. So when you received a message at the telegraph station, they would call up one of the messenger services, and he would come and pick up the message and ride his bike and deliver the message, and then you would have to come into the telegraph service to get your message or to return the message. So it started out that way, and then we first picked up a car, an automobile, one of the early Ford Model Ts, and started consolidating not only messages but also packages. So people were walking down the streets and they couldn't carry their packages from the stores. They didn't have any way to get them home because most people still didn't have cars. So instead of relying on horse and buggy, they would just buy their goods and furniture and things at the store, and then they'd call up the package service, call up UPS to deliver their items that they bought from Macy's or whatever the store was. In 1919, the company moved from Seattle into California, and then we purchased a common carrier service. And that's really the start of the common carrier operation, in the sense that we were combining the goods of many companies and then delivering them out. In 1930, the company expanded to the East Coast, and we started doing retail delivery in the East Coast. And then in '57, we started connecting up all the states. And we actually had to go into each state and obtain operating rights in each of those states, and had to go in state by state. So the company literally just started expansion state by state. And that state by state expansion did not end until 1975, when we had the golden link, they called it. It was that became the first time that any company was able to deliver packages to every single address in 48 contiguous states. And then we continued to change from there. In 1981, the company purchased its first airplane. Now, we had been delivering an airplane before that time, but those were contract airlines. We purchased our first plane in 1981, and shortly thereafter, we started our own airline. And we received operating rights from the Federal Aviation Administration to do that. And now we have one of the 8th largest airlines in the country. In 1990, we started flying to Asia on UPS aircraft. And then that began our international expansion in the East. We were already doing and had already expanded to Europe, and began our Europe operation shortly prior to that. In 1993, we moved away from the traditional package delivery business into supply chain management. And that's really just managing companies, the supply of their goods, warehousing, distribution, the movement of freight and product throughout the country. And we began that in 1993. And then in 1991, the company went public. Up till that time, it was a privately held company. And it was largely held, the stock was largely held by employees. A large part of the compensation that employees received was in stock. And the majority of the stock up until 1999, and even today, is still held by employees and retirees of the company. In 2001, we began flying to China, and now China and Asia are our biggest areas of growth internationally. We have numerous flights there to China on a regular basis. I've been to China several times, and we have, our operations in China, it's really quite remarkable. You could not tell the difference from an operation in China than an operation in South Atlanta. They look exactly the same. And the Chinese are a little neater, though. To be honest with you, those offices are clean. But this year, UPS celebrates its 100 years. And again, we moved from delivering messages to now really enabling global commerce and providing transportation needs through air. We even now provide ocean transportation, freight, air cargo. and provide financing around the world for companies that are looking to move goods around the world. And now just a little bit about the legal department. Well, about the company itself. We have over 400,000 employees. As you can see, 300,000 of them in the United States, and the rest are internationally. Of that 427,000, 246,000 of those are employees represented by the International Brotherhood of Teamsters. We are the largest employer of Teamsters in the United States. We deliver over 15 million packages a day. 15 million packages a day to about 7.9 customers. And we actually get over 10 million hits on our website tracking these packages every day. So our IT support for this entire process is really quite remarkable. We have about 1,700 operating facilities, and we call our operating facilities, the larger facilities, hubs, and all the tractor trailers bring all the packages into the hubs around midnight, and there's a big sort, and people sort the packages and put them out back on tractor trailers, and they go out. And then they go to our smaller locations, which are called centers, and the centers are where employees actually load the packages onto the brown trucks, as you call them. We call them package cars. And then, and so we have numerous centers out there, and a center could be as small as 5 or 6 package cars to several hundred package cars or drivers operating out of a center. But as you can see, we have over 90,000 vehicles that deliver packages on a regular basis, and that could be package cars, vans, tractors. In some countries, we have motorcycles, bikes, you name it, we deliver packages on it. We have 284 planes, and it is the 8th largest airline, and we deliver to over 200 countries on the ground operation, and in our supply chain solution over 120 companies. It's a remarkable business, and it's really surprisingly complex given the simplicity of just getting a package delivered. But it's an exciting business, and there's a lot of growth in the business. From a financial perspective, we did $47 billion in revenue and $6.6 in operating profit. And as you can see, the majority of that comes from our U.S. domestic operation. But clearly, our future is focused on our international operations and on our supply chain solution and freight. We acquired a freight company, you may have heard of it, overnight a few years ago, and we're steadily growing our freight business. They call that LTL, which is less than truckload, and then TL, which is truckload business. And so we're moving freight in that organization. This is the goal statement of the UPS Legal Department, and I just put it there just to kind of let you know what we do. The legal department supports all aspects of the operations that I just talked about. The headquarters for the legal department is here in Atlanta, and we have a very, very small legal department really for the size of the operation that we run, and we rely very, very heavily on outside counsel. But our priority is to support all the different aspects of the business in fulfilling the goals and objectives of the organization. My responsibility